Stevie Wonder grinned and said, "Prince, you're a great guitarist, but jazz piano? That's my world, man. You can't just walk in here and—" Prince didn't argue. He just sat at the piano. What he played in the next 4 minutes made Stevie cry for the first time in 30 years. The Blue Note, legendary jazz club, Greenwich Village, New York City. Late night, October 2009. 11:47 p.m. Private Legends Night, an annual gathering where music icons jammed together after the club closed to the public. Invitation only. 40 people maximum. No cameras, no press, just musicians playing for each other. Tonight's attendees: Stevie Wonder, 59, just inducted into the Rock Hall for the second time. Herbie Hancock, 69, jazz piano legend. Wynton Marsalis, 48, trumpet virtuoso. Questlove, 38, the Roots drummer. And Prince, 51, invited by Questlove. 11:52 p.m. The jam began. Herbie on piano, Wynton on trumpet, Questlove on drums, Stevie at a table in the front listening, occasionally joining on harmonica. They played standards. Take 5. So what? Autumn leaves. Prince was in the back corner, black turtleneck, dark jeans, purple scarf, sipping water. He didn't drink. Watching, listening. He hadn't played yet. 12:17 a.m. Stevie noticed Prince in the corner. Stevie, blind but with an uncanny awareness of rooms, turned his head toward Prince's direction. "That you back there, Prince?" "Yeah, Stevie, it's me. You've been awfully quiet. When you gonna play something?" "Soon," Stevie grinned. That signature Stevie Wonder grin. "You know, I heard you play guitar. You play bass. You play drums. Hell, I heard you play 27 instruments. Something like that. But can you play jazz piano?" The room went quiet. Everyone knew this was playful, but it was also a challenge. Prince, calm. "I can play piano. I didn't ask if you could play piano. I asked if you could play jazz piano. That's different, man. That's my world. Herbie's world. That's chords we invented, rhythms we created. You can't just walk into jazz piano and—" "Stevie, yeah? You want me to try?" Stevie laughed. "Oh, I want you to try. I'm just saying, don't be embarrassed when you can't hang." The room laughed. It was affectionate. Stevie and Prince were friends. This was banter. But Prince stood up, walked to the piano. Herbie Hancock, surprised, stood and stepped aside. "You serious?" "Yeah." Herbie gestured. "Be my guest." Prince sat at the piano. The Steinway Model D, the same piano Herbie Hancock had just played. The same one Bill Evans had played in the 70s. The same one countless legends had touched. Prince adjusted the bench, placed his hands on the keys, looked at Stevie. "Any requests?" Stevie, still grinning. "Play me something I've never heard before." "That's not a song." "Exactly. If you're really a jazz piano player, you don't need a song. You just play." Prince nodded. "Okay." He started with a single note. Middle. C, held it. Then a second note. E flat. Created a minor third interval. Let it hang in the air. Then his left hand entered. A walking bass line. Slow, deliberate, soulful. Then his right hand. A melody that sounded like it had been living in the Blue Note's walls for 70 years. It was jazz. Unmistakably jazz. But it was also something else. It was Prince jazz. It had the harmonic complexity of Bill Evans, the rhythmic swagger of Oscar Peterson, the emotional depth of Keith Jarrett. But underneath it all, funk, soul, the Minneapolis sound that only Prince owned. By the 90-second mark, Questlove had stopped drumming. He was just watching Prince's left hand, his mouth open. He'd played with thousands of musicians, seen virtuosos, been in rooms with legends. But this was different. Prince's left hand was creating a rhythm section by itself. Bass, drums, percussion, all in the movement of 5 fingers. Wynton Marsalis had lowered his trumpet. He was leaning forward, elbows, on his knees, studying Prince's technique like a man trying to solve an equation that didn't exist 5 minutes ago. Herbie Hancock was standing behind Prince, watching his fingers like a man witnessing a magic trick he couldn't figure out. At one point, Herbie leaned over to Winton and whispered, "He's using voicings I've never seen." By the 2-minute mark, Prince shifted. The melody changed. It was no longer abstract jazz. It was a song, not a famous song, not a standard, something original, something Prince was composing in real time. But here's the thing. The melody sounded like Stevie Wonder's style. It had that Stevie DNA, the harmonic movements, the syncopation, the way the chords resolved. Prince was playing jazz, but he was playing it in Stevie's voice. Stevie, sitting in the front row, tilted his head. He recognized what was happening. Prince wasn't just playing jazz piano, he was paying tribute to Stevie, to Herbie, to every black musician who built this language. Stevie's hands gripped the armrests of his chair. His mouth opened slightly. Behind his dark glasses, something was happening, not visible to most people in the room. But Questlove, watching from the drums, saw Stevie's jaw tighten, saw him swallow hard, saw the first sign that this wasn't just a performance. It was something else entirely. By the 3-minute mark, Prince introduced a new element, gospel chords, the kind of chords you hear in black churches, the kind his father played, the kind Stevie grew up hearing in Detroit. The melody became a conversation between two worlds, jazz and gospel, secular and sacred. By the 4-minute mark, Prince's hands were moving faster now, not showy, not flashy, just necessary. Like every note was the only note that could possibly come next. He built to a climax, then stopped. One final chord, a major 7th with an added 9th, let it fade into silence. 12:22 a.m. The room was silent, not even the sound of breathing. Then Stevie Wonder was crying, not sobbing, not loud, just tears running down his face from behind his dark glasses. Herbie Hancock had his hand over his mouth. Winton Marsalis was nodding slowly, eyes closed, like he'd just witnessed something holy. Stevie stood, walked toward the piano, his cane tapping. Someone guided him. He reached Prince, extended his hand. Prince took it. Stevie pulled him into a hug, whispered something in his ear. Nobody heard it except Prince. Later, someone asked Stevie what he whispered. Stevie wouldn't say, just shook his head. That's between me and Prince. 12:47 a.m. The jam session continued, but something had changed. Prince and Stevie played together now, piano and harmonica, 4 hands on one keyboard. They played for 40 minutes straight. Nobody recorded it. House rule, no phones, no cameras. The 40 people in that room knew they were witnessing something that would never happen again. 2:13 a.m. The session ended. People started leaving, saying goodbyes. Prince was packing up, putting on his coat. Herbie Hancock approached. "Prince, that thing you played, the jazz piece, you wrote that tonight?" "Yeah." "You mind if I record a version for my next album?" Prince considered. "Only if you call it what it is." "What's that?" "For Stevie. That's the title." Herbie smiled. "Deal." 6 months later, April 2010, Herbie Hancock released his album The Imagine Project. Track 7, For Stevie, Prince Interlude, a solo piano piece performed by Herbie based on the melody Prince played that night. In the liner notes, this piece was born at the Blue Note, October 2009. Prince played something I'd never heard before, jazz that felt like prayer. This is my attempt to remember it. H.H. The track won a Grammy, Best Instrumental Jazz Solo. At the ceremony, Herbie dedicated it to Prince, who proved that jazz isn't a genre, it's a language, and he's fluent. April 21st, 2016. Prince Rogers Nelson died at Paisley Park. 57 years old. Stevie Wonder was one of the first to release a statement. "I lost a brother today. Most people know Prince as a genius. I knew him as a friend, and I knew a secret about him that not many people know. He could play jazz piano better than half the people in the history books. He just didn't need to prove it. He proved it to me once, on a night I'll never forget, in a club that felt like church. Rest in power, brother." That night, the Blue Note Club. The Blue Note held an impromptu memorial. 40 musicians showed up. No press, no announcement, just word of mouth. They played from midnight to 6 a.m. At 2 a.m., the exact time Prince left that night in 2009, Herbie Hancock played For Stevie, Prince interlude, on the same Steinway. Stevie Wonder sat in the front row, in the same seat, same table, same position, as if 7 years hadn't passed. When Herbie finished, the room was silent, not waiting for applause, just holding the moment. Stevie stood. Someone guided him to the piano. He knew the way by heart now, this stage, this instrument, this room where Prince had shown him something he'd never forget. He sat next to Herbie. They didn't discuss what to play, didn't count off, didn't nod or signal. Herbie just started. The opening chords, slow, reverent, and Stevie brought his harmonica to his lips. They played Purple Rain together, piano and harmonica. The arrangement was completely improvised, nothing written down, nothing rehearsed. Herbie played the chords Prince would have played. Stevie's harmonica sang the melody Prince would have sung. It lasted 9 minutes. By minute 3, everyone in the room was standing, not because they were told to, because sitting felt wrong. This was a hymn. You stand for hymns. By minute 5, Questlove was crying, openly, shoulders shaking. By minute 7, Wynton had his eyes closed, trumpet in his lap, just listening. When they finished, nobody applauded, nobody moved. Herbie and Stevie sat there side by side for 30 seconds in complete silence. Then Stevie spoke, his voice quiet but clear. "He's here. You all feel that?" 40 voices. "Yes." "Then let's keep playing. For him." They played until 6 a.m. Every song a prayer, every note a goodbye. 2020 Questlove was interviewed for a Prince documentary. The interviewer asked, "What's the most underrated thing about Prince?" Questlove thought for a long time. "His jazz piano, nobody talks about it, but I saw him play jazz once, at the Blue Note, in 2009, with Stevie and Herbie and Wynton. He played for 4 minutes, and when he finished, Stevie Wonder, was crying." "Why was Stevie crying?" Questlove shook his head. "I don't know. Stevie wouldn't say, but I think Prince played something that reminded Stevie of something he'd forgotten, or someone he'd lost. That's what great jazz does. It finds the thing you buried and brings it back to life. Do you remember what Prince played?" "Every note, but I can't play it. Nobody can. That piece died with Prince." He paused. "Which is exactly how it should be. Some music is too sacred to repeat." The documentary aired on Netflix. 47 million views in the first month. The segment about the Blue Note became the most discussed moment. People wanted to know, what did Prince play? What did Stevie whisper? Why was he crying? Nobody who was there would say. Herbie Hancock, in a 2021 interview, "I've been asked about that night 1,000 times. And I'll say what I said before. Some moments are meant to stay in the room where they happened. If we'd recorded it, it would have become content. By not recording it, it became sacred." Wynton Marsalis, same year. "Prince played something that night that I've been trying to understand for over a decade. I hear it in my dreams sometimes. But when I wake up and try to recreate it, it's gone. That's the thing about genius. You can witness it, but you can't capture it." Stevie Wonder, 2023, in his final interview before retiring from public appearances, sat in his Los Angeles home. The interviewer had been granted 1 hour. They'd been talking for 3. People always ask me about that night, what Prince whispered, why I cried. I'll never tell the whisper. That's between me and God now. But I'll tell you why I cried. He paused. The interviewer waited, knew better than to interrupt. Prince played my life, not my music. My life. Every joy, every loss, every prayer I've ever said. He played 4 minutes, and I heard 70 years. That's not talent. That's not skill. That's divine. He smiled. When people ask me if Prince was the greatest musician I ever knew, I say this. He was the only musician who ever made me forget I was a musician. For 4 minutes, I wasn't Stevie Wonder. I was just Steveland, the kid from Detroit who heard God in piano keys. The interviewer leaned forward. And you never told him that? I didn't have to. He knew. That's what I whispered. I said, you knew. And he said, I always know. Stevie's voice cracked slightly. See, that's the thing people don't understand about Prince. He didn't just play instruments. He played souls. He heard what you needed to hear before you knew you needed it. That night, at the Blue Note, I needed to remember something. Something I'd buried. And he found it. 4 minutes. 40 years of memory. All of it in those keys. The interview ended there. Stevie stood, walked off camera, refused to elaborate. And that's where the story ends, with a whisper nobody else will ever hear, with music nobody else will ever play, with 40 people who carry a secret they'll take to their graves, because some nights are too sacred for recording, some music is too pure for repetition, and some friendships live in the space between notes, the place where jazz is born, where gospel meets the blues, where two men who could barely see each other found each other perfectly in the dark.